Hello, welcome to the Artist Chat Room. My name is Natasha Castellan, and the Artist Chat Room is where I chat to you about my art and what I've been up to. It's also a place that I'd like to hear about you and your art and what you've been up to. Now, last fortnight, I showed you the finished Fabiano sketchbook tour, and in here I have a few drawings from which I've got some paintings that I want to show you guys what I've been doing. So let's turn this around and have a look at some of these. I said I was going to turn this around, but I've changed my mind. When I came back from Adelaide, I was very, very sick, but I had booked a 4-day workshop with Leanne Pearson, and I was so looking forward to this workshop because it was dealing with foils, painting people and children at the beach. 3 things that I wanted to do more of myself. And I went to this workshop as sick as a dog. I was right up the back. Luckily it was a big space. We had lots of windows open, and literally at about 11:30 every day I would go in my car that was under shade, which was really nice, and we were in this kind of parked on the property, so it wasn't like on the street or something, and I could leave the windows open and sleep in the car. And I literally slept in the car every day. I was that sick. And I thought, am I even going to learn anything from this workshop? So right at the end, I'm going to tell you the things I learned from the workshop after I show you what we did and what doing that workshop has inspired me to do. So let's turn this around now. So this was the first piece that I did with Leanne. Now, I can't say that I'm completely in love with this because I did it when I wasn't well. But also I'm dealing with something that I hadn't done for a long time, which is oil paint. And the quality, even though my paints were a good quality, the quality of my brushes wasn't great. But I really, really liked the result. I particularly like that this reminds me of my daughter and her daughter. So, and they often love to go to the beach, even though that's probably a little bit big for my granddaughter. It'll be what she will look like one day, I suppose. I loved it. I loved doing the people the most, and we would start off the day with a very diluted down oil paint and get it sketch in to place, and then we added the color on top. So this was my first one. You probably want to know the size of this, don't you? That is 16 inches square. I think that's 16 inches square. That's 12 and 4. Yeah, 16 inches square, 40 centimeters square for the Australians among us. Her work is obviously looser and far more beautiful than this piece. So then the second one we did, and we only got to do 2, whereas if I was well, I know that I would have done more, this was the drawing, and here is the painting of it. This one is 16 inches by almost 12, just under 12, which is like 40 by 30 centimeters. I really like this one as well. I actually like this one a little bit more. I feel like this one would have, if it was a slightly different angle, or maybe the sand a bit lighter. Leanne takes photos of people at the beach herself. She usually asks them or has a friend who will do some modeling. So these are her original material photographs that she has taken herself. Had a good time, had a great time doing it, if you can call when you're sick having a great time. But what I felt on the last day, she said, what did you learn from this? And I said, nothing, because you know when you're sick you're just so grumpy. And basically I've written this down, and this is particularly useful for oil painting. And one is to get your design in, do some thumbnails, But she also talked about maybe not necessarily doing thumbnails, but also you could get it on your camera and crop it on your camera. So that was also something that I do anyway. The underdrawing, so the painting of the people or whatever you do really has to be spot on. It has to be as accurate. You just can't say close enough is good enough. You have to be accurate with your drawing. Saying that, you can always mess up a good underpainting. But if you don't start with a good underpainting, you're not going to get there. Then it's about looking for the values and the shapes and wiping things out if you need to. And the other thing she does is once she's got this drawn up, she'll get her palette and actually find all these colors, mix them all up. So you can't do this if you're doing acrylic, because your acrylic paint will dry. And then she spends it, she can paint the whole thing all in one go. Obviously, maybe one layer of it, but she gets it all done. In fact, while we were there, she completed it almost like a la prima in a way, but she did it over 2 days. But the underpainting is still a little bit wet. The other thing that's really important that I think she mentioned, but it's something that I know that is really important, because believe it or not, I do teach oil painting, even though I rarely do it myself, is it's really important that your first coat is a nice thin coat, because that way the next coat comes on it. It's what they called thick overlean. This one, I had an undercolor, which I can't see. It was a bright yellow, and I feel like, so that kind of a yellow. And this one, I already had it painted. It was actually a canvas I bought at a secondhand store. I'll often buy secondhand canvases, and they are the ones that I just do all my practices on and learn from. And this one was, I believe it was probably had things all over the back, and this one had this color underneath, which I wonder whether, like, some of it is peeking through, but I wonder if I had, like, I know that's a warm color, but it's like a cool pink in a way. If I had like a bright yellow, it would really pop. Another thing that was number 5. I have more things that I learned. 6, thin transparent darks. I remember the thin paints underlay, but her darks she suggests doing in thin transparent. And quality brushes. Buy good brushes. And since then I have bought and like look, that's not bad for rubbish brushes, really. I'm quite happy with that for rubbish brushes and how sick I was. But the other thing she talks about is where the light hits, which I could have done that for her, but I wanted it to read pink, is instead of using white, having a bit of lemon yellow in it, and that really makes it pop and shine. So that was something I learned. So let me press pause and get my other paintings out. So then I was inspired to do some more. Now these 2 I'm about to show you are not finished, but I don't know when I'm going to finish it, because I've had to press pause on painting these for a bit as I prepare for Christmas and other things coming up. Hope to finish it this year, but if not, basically this one, the main thing is, if you can see here, the head and the hat don't match, which I didn't notice until I took a photo of it, and then I saw it. So I just basically have to extend that out and do it. But when I paint with oils, you know, I have to have a different kind of setup, and that makes it a little bit trickier. But yeah, I got the good brushes. This is actually quite a really good likeness of my grandson. And this is just under 12 inches by 12 by 16. Really fun to do. When I did this, I actually blocked in the background, his clothing, and the hat straight away in acrylic paint. Basically, it looks like this. I had a sky, those colors literally in there. And then I worked on his face for ages. Then I came back with the oil on the hat and the background So this is now finished as an oil painting. That is a really good way to start an oil painting, is to undercoat it in acrylics, because that way you can just get going a lot faster. And this one here is also quite a nice one. Let's see, can I get the whole thing in? Almost. I have to stand on my super tippy toes. I am not a very tall person. So these are my other two grandkids. So I'll just tell you, that's number one, and 2 months later she was born, and 2 months later he was born. How blessed am I? This was just after my daughter's wedding that we recently had, and we took photos. This is one of those trolleys that, I don't know if you have them up in America and sort of the northern part of the earth, but we use these a lot, and kids use them at the beach, and parents load them up with all the gear that the kids needs, and they can pull them. The kids had such a good time pulling themselves around about in here. In that trolley that day, we had another little friend over, and they had a great time. So this is also not finished, but let me tell you how I did it. Basically, I painted this in like a purple. I don't know if you can see that kind of purpley color there, in acrylic. And I did his shirt, his jumper top in acrylic. That's actually that bluey one that I drew in my sketchbook. And this, which was actually much lower in the photograph, but I wanted to lift it up to frame them. So I haven't, then come back to it. Once I've did everything in acrylic, then I went in with the skin and the face with oil paint, and I did that a few times. Came back with the oil. The background, I actually had like a green colors in, similar to this, where it was different tones and kind of different greens, but it was just too jarring against these colors. So my friend Stephen, who's the owner of the Gold Coast Art School where I work at, he suggested mixing these two colors together in white, and also left some of that green peeking through there. I use some of that cushion color down here just to bring that down here, have a bit of a shine. The cushion isn't finished, so I want to get like the real grooves, like they're leaning into the cushion. So I want to get that in there, and then I can put the little hairs that kind of, you know, the little flyaway hairs, and then that. Oh, and also his eyes aren't quite finished. That one's a little bit big compared to that one. Like this way big. And yeah, then I feel like this is finished. So let me turn this around and have a chat to you. So what did I really learn from this workshop? And this is no reflection to the tutor, because as I said, I was very, very, very sick, and it was really hard to absorb anything, but I still came away with being inspired to paint in oil paint more. I did buy myself better quality brushes, and you can see that these works are a little bit better, even though they are kind of a little bit tight. They're not quite as tight as the other one. I don't know if you can see it, but I know I can see it. The other ones, it's not so much that they're tight, is, where did I put it? Is it here? No. Look, hang on. It's not so much that they're tight as much as there's something I feel apprehensive about these two works that I did earlier. They're just a little bit more apprehensive. It's like I'm drawing and going, I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys. It's not how I did the background, but it's definitely how I did the figures in it, a little bit more apprehensive. Where with my grandkids, probably because I know what they look like as well, and I connected with those images and connected with them, and you know, your heart's filled with love because they're your grandkids. And I wasn't apprehensive. I just got into it. I had better quality brushes. I had already done a couple of oil paintings. Saying that, look, I used to paint in oils all the time. Years ago, I used to paint mainly in oils, so it's not like I have no experience in oils. It was just about getting back into it. So yeah, that was really great. But what I learnt, and I want to give this to you guys, I'm not saying don't go to workshops. Do go to workshops, because workshops are inspiring you to paint and draw and create more. So to me, that's the biggest takeaway from workshop, is to just do more, do more. If it costs you to do that, hey, it costs you. You're also around other creatives. You can make great friends with those, and also you learn by seeing how and what other people do. And that's really invaluable, in my opinion, being around other artists, because it can be really solo-ish for us as artists. You know, we're like lone rangers. But in the end, you just have to push through. So the one of my granddaughter, she didn't look great in the image. She looked really terrible for ages, which I should have talked about that while I had it. I'm looking at her on the table. That's why I keep looking down. I should have talked about it a bit more when I had it in front of you. And it took me quite a few times to get it. I kept going back and going back, probably 3 or 4 times to get her just right, to get the measurements right. I didn't trace it. I drew it all up myself. And as I said, I don't know if I said it in this video. Yeah, I did. No matter how good your drawing is, you can mess it up once you put your paint down. And so it took me a while to find her again and get it just right. But it's the pushing through. It's like, okay, don't be happy with good enough sometimes. Like, good enough is okay when you're like, I don't know, doing some loose kind of fun stuff in your sketchbook. Like in your sketchbook, you know, like, you know, this is good enough. Like, I'm trying to find, this is good enough for your sketchbook. But when you're doing a painting, you might have to push through. And it's actually hard to push through. It's really hard to push through, especially if you don't feel that your skill level is there yet. But that's when you need to push through. That's when you get the breakthroughs. And even when I see this, when I teach people at the art school, because I also teach beginners and intermediate as well as kids at the art school, and sometimes I don't have the answer to give to the student, but I just tell them, trust the process and just keep going. And sometimes all I have to say, hey, you can do this. I know you can do this. And then they do it. And I go, wow. And they think I've taught them something amazing. But what I've actually done is encourage them to push through and to believe in themselves, which is what I did with these. Yeah, I'm hoping they may or may not be done by Christmas. I have to paint Bluey. I have to paint a monster truck for my grandkids for their Christmas present. So there's other things that are going on. I also would like to finish it's not here with me right now, another sketchbook, so I can have that tour done for you. I've got some videos coming up, so there's all sorts of stuff happening. But that's okay to have some things that I'm slowly working on. My mum loves these. She asked me what I'm going to do with them, and she has informed me that they are going to be hers. So everyone else can have it once she dies, which hopefully will be in a long time. If you enjoyed seeing what I've been up to and how going to a workshop has inspired me to do these other paintings, just in general what I've been up to, give me a thumbs up. And I have a bit of an art haul coming up in a fortnight, which will be exciting to show you some things that I've got from friends, a few things out of my sketch box, which I won't go into like a sketch box reveal, but just some of the things I got from there, and some ink markers that I am very, very, very excited about. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next video, which will be an art haul. I will see you guys in a fortnight, and do give me a thumbs up if you come this far. You've obviously enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great week and stay creative. Bye now.